Well, if everybody puts on speaker mode, you might be able to see him once he starts talking.
Hello, hello.
There he is.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. So Kelly and his wife Kalina own. Well, they both work a lot, and then they own this little tiny company that's amazing called KS Fine Arts. And he teaches for his real world job as well. You're a director, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, director of training for the Navy. You can tell them all about it. I don't know anything. So, but KS Fine Arts, he does training on the side, teaching portraiture and in a very artistic way. And that's how we met like 2 or 3 years ago. And I couldn't think of anyone better to judge tonight's because he's just amazing with lighting and technique. And he also has a really great Facebook group, so I can actually send that out to everybody if you're interested in learning more and watching other people's portraiture styles and stuff. And it really has helped me a lot. Mine's changed 100% since I met him. So, but I'll just turn it over to you, Kelly. You can tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we can get started.
Sounds good. Well, Samantha, it was an honor for you to ask me to do this. I'm passionate about portraiture. I'm passionate about capturing the human soul in a moment of time to where the viewer stops and starts thinking deeply about what that individual's feeling, they're thinking, they're doing. That's really what captures me in portraiture. And that's what it is. You're capturing something, the essence of something or someone, and it could be an animal. And so I'm glad you even have some animals, in the sets of images. That was good. PPA, Professional Photographers of America, recently separated their animals from the photography open portraiture category, and a lot of people are not quite happy about that. I don't know if that was a good move, but I'm glad to see that you're keeping that aligned, because a portraiture of an animal has the same foundational requirements as a portraiture of a human being. It was great going through the images today. I think there was 40 something, 42 or whatever the number was, evaluating them, and I'm getting ready to do some critiquing. I say this from a background of a portrait photographer. I'm not going to go into a lot of waste your time about me, and it's not about me. But I have a general idea of what I look for in images. I don't use the PPA's 12 elements. I'm more aligned to the Master Photographer International, the MPI 10 elements, or the WPPI's elements than the PPA's. And I'm not going to go through them all, but that's what I'm going to be using as my baseline when I judge it. The first one is impact, as you know. So I'll talk about that. I'll talk about what I see that hurts the image, and I'll talk about what I see, what I like the image. Out of each category, I pick the number 1, number 2, and number 3, plus some of them that I thought deserved an honorable mention. And I'll mention those at the end of going through the entire set of images and critiquing. I want to establish before I start this is only my opinion. There's no scientific evidence. There's no statistical p-values. I'm not doing ANOVA tables. This is just Kelly Schneider's experience as a portrait photographer, my thoughts on the image and where I base them. There's a lot of times there's an unstable, or people will get personal involved and they'll feel it. Please don't. If you had somebody follow me that was just as experienced, they could judge them completely different. So this is just my impression. I think I'm a pretty fair judge. Hopefully you see it that way. Either way, at the end, I went through all of the images, and I got a list here of all the ones that I thought were really awesome, 1, 2, and 3, and then the honorable mentions. There's a lot of great images in here, and there's a lot of good images that could be great with a little tweaking. We'll talk about that. Okay, with that said, let's start with this first image. Okay, by the way, were there any questions? Samantha, did you get any chat questions or anything?
Nothing. We're good.
Perfect. All right, so we'll get going. Okay, let's look at this guy. I like his face. I like his, when you first see it and you just, wow, there's an impact there. So impact check. I think some of the lighting is really well designed to try to get both the arm and all the armature and the mechanical aberration connected to him. And then the other opposite light, probably a strip, but either way, bringing the details of his edge of his arm and his body and his hat, his face. I think that is great idea, great thought. And it looks like there was even a third light that was probably aimed to the backdrop, either that or the backdrop was added in post. Can't tell, but I like the idea, the concept here. A couple things hurt it. The overexposed spots. If you look at the metal on the large round part, there's an overexposed spot there. Plus the pipe that goes up into the atmosphere is overexposed. The face, there's some overexposed, especially on that cheek that you can see. On the eyelid above the eye, those will always hurt you in a competition. Anything's overexposed, which generally means that the light wasn't as controlled as it should have been or could have been. Composition, the head is only just slightly left from exact center. That's usually not the best place to put a human head. I understand why you did it, because you want to make sure that the sword was fully in the frame. And so you compromised having the main subject in the center just as long as the whole thing in there. Probably better to lower the arm, bring the sword down, aim it more towards the subject, and therefore brought the head up a little bit more in the rule of thirds. Really liked it. It was fun. I even like that red. Okay, next image. Really cool image. I love the feel of this. I so wish that the maker would, and when I use the word maker, that means whoever made the image. So I wish that white van and that white building behind that van, those things weren't there. If I was me, I'd probably keep that image and then take away this entire set of background and replace it with a line of trees or something. Just stuck something back there as a composite to get rid of this. This is awesome. Love the line of those bubbles coming at you. It's like a leading line right to the face. Love how the bubbles gave you a nice soft bokeh look behind. It looks like it's in focus. I think some of the light could have been more in the eye, but I think it's a fun image, really fun image. Next image. I like this one. I like the colors of the backdrop. I really like his face, that smile, that half grin. He's like, yeah, taking photos of me, whatever it is. I really like this image. A couple of things bothered me. The side, his right side face is a little on the too dark side compared to the lighted side of his face. This is almost a half and half. It's not, you can't say it's short lighting, you can't say it's broad lighting. It's almost directly half of the face is lit. There's a teeny bit of light below the right eye, but I can't even consider that a Rembrandt triangle. It's just a spot because of his cheek. And then the overexposed on the shirt. You can see that white shirt right behind the glass and then along up. That's an overexposed spot. Again, I can't stress that enough. If you do portraiture, always the brightest point of an image, in this case it's that shirt, should be the face. Not overexposed, correctly exposed, but should be the face. So that pulls the eye, which reduces the image. But I really like his look. Next image. I thought this was cool. I'm not sure what lens was used. I assume it's probably zoomed in a few times. It appears there's probably some digital artifacts inside here. Possibly that little dot in the middle of the yellow directly, if the eye was going directly out, there's a little dot there. It's either a bug or it's, censored dirt. If you look at the nose, there's some overexposed white at the edge of that nose. Again, you can't miss that. I always spot those. But I really like the look. I love that round part of the eye. So if it was me, I would have put that eye directly in the center. I would have cropped it. It was perfectly square to cause the eye to be the center and that round horn to cause you to go round to the eye. I don't know if you follow that and understand that, but that would be a composition change that I would make. Really cool image. I think this is a really fun image. I like her pose. I like her relaxed arm and her fingers through her red hair. I love her hair, by the way. I think it's really cool. The problem with this image is it looks out of focus. It's really soft. It's not just a little soft, it's really soft. So I would either say it's in the translation via computer to wherever it was supposed to be posted and then whatever. But when I saw this on Google Drive from Samantha, it was clearly what appeared to be out of focus, and I'm not sure if the maker was aware of that or what, but I like the composition. I like the arms. If this was in focus, I think this was a pretty good image. Next, sorry. I really like this one too. This is more photojournalistic, capturing people at their work or in their life and whatever. A few things is probably not good. I think the arm is in focus. So if the subject was her tat along that arm, great job. But I don't think so. I think the subject, from my perspective, is the face looking down at her work on that individual's leg. So I think if that's the case, then I think the face should have been in focus. So I think the focus point, again, is along the arm, not necessarily her face. So I would have thought her face should have been the thing in focus. But I like the perspective. Matter of fact, if you look at her face and that arm and then the legs, it almost has a crossover, like a diagonal all the way across the frame. So well done, except that I think the depth or the focus should have been on the face. Next. I thought this was an exceptional image. I think there's too much space on the in front of the what did you call it? Hold on, let me make sure I got this right. This was called. We're still in novice color, right?
It's a Puffin. Supreme Court Justice Puffin.
That's it. Supreme Court Justice Puffin. That's it. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty awesome image. I liked the focus was right on. I mean, look at the details in that eye. You can see that catch light in that eye was pretty awesome. The little pieces coming off the beak. I mean, I think that's a pretty beautiful image. The only thing that bothered me on this one is the blacks behind it. Now, that could be artistically, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The black on the part of his head, the top of his head, and then the overall composition. Again, the eye, the beak is kind of centered. I kind of wish it was either up on the top right row of thirds, looking into the negative space of the frame, if that makes sense. I think the composition could have changed. Either that or leave it where it is and then crop it tighter to where there's not so much negative space in the center going toward the outside. I think that's a beautiful image, though. Nice job. Yeah, I always like this guy. he's an awesome model. He's an awesome guy. But putting him in that cape, I remember the lighting. It was a single LED light. I think this is I think this is well done. I think the natural. I love the look. I love even the highlights on the nose, above the eye, along that cheek. I think that's excellent. I am a little bit bothered by the crushed blacks on the lower left part of the frame. I think the details are lost there. I think that if you're going to lose that much detail in that much area, then crop it. So don't let the human think, well, what's in there? What's hidden in there? What is there? A bicycle? Is he on a stool? I mean, I would have brought some details. There's ways to do that. You can clone stamp some of that cape just a little bit in that area and then expand it, just so their eye feels like there's details. But I think this is an excellent portrait. A good one also, I'm not sure, I remember when I went through this, it would look like it was not perfectly in focus. I don't know, Samantha, can you tell on your screen? It's hard, it was hard for me in the Google Drive. I was having a hard time thinking it was a little bit soft.
It is soft, but I think it's soft on purpose. I mean, it just looks soft on purpose.
Yeah, and it could be. Like, maybe there was a little bit of a glow added to it or something like that. I'm not sure. The eyes rarely should be soft unless artistically, like it's a boudoir kind of things. There's sometimes where you can make even the eye not tack sharp. I think this image, I think the eye should have been tack sharp. The opposite eye from the main camera, by the way, is, and this is broad lighting, is too much light on the white. You could see that side light come over, that kicker, if you will, and it almost like it was aimed at that eyeball, and it pulls my eye into that spot. Just an area of concern. The shadow of her cheek in that hand is also too dark. it looks like it lost some details. That bothers me a little bit too. Composition's good. I think her look is pretty deep. Well done, other than those things that I mentioned. I thought this was great. Not sure about the skin color, but love the reflection. Good job in maintaining it. The catch lights on that octabox I think it's an octabox, is awesome. I think her smile is wonderful. Teeth, maybe, I don't know if you whitened it to make her whitened it a little bit, but the white on her eyes as opposed to the teeth are a little bit different. I think the teeth are a little bit more on the creamier side. So that may pull somebody's eye because there's so much teeth there. Just such a beautiful smile. You kind of want to look at it and you wonder why, why there's a difference. White is white. But I think it's an excellent image. It was well done capture. I don't even mind the black background. Usually I like to see a little detail in the background for separation, but this kind of worked. I thought the emotion on this was pretty awesome. I mean, her looking, you wonder, what is she looking at? I mean, you could, personally, I think this probably would have been really good as a black and white. In addition to that, if you look above her head, that blank, that empty space, that makes it feel like she is too low in it, like she's almost cut off. She is cut off, but I mean, you feel like, well, you could have shown more of her by lifting or aiming it down a little bit. And that bothers me a bit, but I think overall that's a pretty good image. I like that look. Focus was, at least from my view was pretty awesome. Did she have a Band-Aid on her finger on the opposite side? It looked like there was a Band-Aid there or something. See that finger?
Yeah, the artist can tell you at the end.
Okay. Let's go on to the next one. Yeah, cool image. I assume this is a high school football player, and got to zoom in, probably cropped it in even a little bit more than that. I like his look. It's a little bit, how should I say this? It's harsh, so the contrasts are high, but yet there was some softening tried to be applied too. Almost like softening luminescence. I'm not sure. I mean, with guys like this, or even girls in fighting or athletics or whatever else, high contrast and structure is fine. There was no need to soften anything. You could have left every detail in his face and his arms and everything else. So I think that's an awesome image, and he'll probably appreciate that for a long time. His deep look and his hair's all matted up. So awesome catch of a sports shot. What an interesting smile on her. I guess they're out just having fun and checking out things on railroad tracks, and I assume that's a tunnel behind her because it's so black. But again, here's another one that I thought, it kind of looks a little soft. So beyond being soft, it also, the opposite arms of the way in which a subject is looking at the camera usually causes the viewer to say, where's that other arm? Where's the hand? You're wondering. When a viewer is looking at something other than what you wanted them to see, in this case, her face or his face, then it's pulling the subject, you're pulling interest away from your subject. You never want to do that. So having that other hand in the frame, even if it was on the back behind him, would have been a little bit better, because right now it's like it doesn't exist. So the softness of the image plus the lost arm bothers me a little bit. Here's another one that I thought was pretty cool. I assume this is a family session on the tracks, because I assume that other one was the brother. This one here, again, I'm not sure. It looks soft to me. Matter of fact, looking in the image, I'm not sure if there's anything in tack focus. So that leads me to think that either the autofocus system is not working, or maybe the lens and the camera, there's some kind of tweaking that's needed, because I'm not sure if you get the focus you want. Because it's the second image from, I would assume, the same maker at the same time frame. So I would check that out. You may have a lens and camera or some combination that's causing you not to get perfectly sharp images. But I like her smile. That's a heck of a little grin on that little girl's face. Especially the hand on her side, she's showing like attitude. I think that's pretty cool. I understand the concept here. I think that's great. I think that using shadows with harsh lines to design on a person's face and have her in the right position where the light goes across her eye and then the shadows on either side. I think that concept is awesome. Anytime you have contrast like this, I always naturally consider it to be an excellent candidate for a black and white photo. So if you were to look at this image as a black and white, I would venture to say it has more impact and more mood than color because of those contrasting lines. I think it's a really great idea. I think it gives emotion, especially those lines behind her head. That whole combination, if you took the color out of it, I think it would be a much stronger image. Pretty interesting. So I'm not sure if this is, this cow is associated to the maker or their farm or whatever, but that's a pretty wild stare down right there. Cow doesn't have any qualms to letting you know that I'm watching you take my photo. Pretty fun. I even like the composition. The cow's primarily center of head is in the rule of thirds, and you have the negative space along the body. So that's good job on composition too. What a sorry face, poor thing. Anything when you're doing this, it's really challenging because dogs usually don't pose for you, but you have to make sure that it gets lights in the eyes because the pupils are so much darker, just to get some kind of details to it, because it's hard, because I imagine that's probably, crushed blacks in between the eye socket and then the eye itself. Which then in turn you're not exactly sure when the eye starts and the eye socket ends. But I love the smile or the feel of that dog, just sitting there and just fine. Just take your photo and now give me some munchies and goodies. Next image. This is that same dancer before. Love the colors. Look at that smile on her. She's enjoying herself. Really having a good time. I think the blacks on this one behind her, I think you can see a little detail in like a building or something. There's some lines in there. I think that not 100% sure on that. Hold on a minute, just.
Technical difficulties. Please.
No, I'm back. There was a question that came in, but it's resolved. Sorry about that. I'm back.
No problem.
So even though the smile and capturing the person and they're having fun and everything else, I think technically the whites under her eyes, forehead, maybe a little strong and light, as opposed to the almost pure black background. That contrast is really harsh. Just a word of advice, if you shoot the female as opposed to males, generally speaking, you want much more of a soft feel. You never want a hard, contrasty feel. That's just a rule of thumb. In this one, it's a really hard contrast. I think she's supposed to be a beautiful lady from Renaissance, whatever. So I would imagine you'd want it to be a little softer, even in the details of the clothes. Really fun image. This looks like one of those monkeys in Thailand. I don't know if the person was traveling or touring somewhere, but definitely looks like one of those little monkeys in Thailand. Either way, excellent capture. Love the bokeh on this lens. It's probably a 70-200, 2.8 or something. The eyes look like they were tack sharp. Love the hair. Composition, the eye, the primary eye towards the camera is usually the center of focus, at least what you want it to be. That should be along that corner of the rule of thirds. This one isn't. It's a little off center to the right side of the frame, but it really, because the monkey is looking into that area, the opposite area, it probably should be centered on the right, upper right corner of the rule of thirds, looking into the negative space of the frame. Just my thought. Beautiful image. Nice image here. It's too bad that hair goes right through the hair. I like that's a beautiful horse, by the way. Love the detail in the shot. I don't think there was anything overexposed. Even the white on the front of the horse's head, I think came in nice. I think the details in there, nice capture. It may be a little contrasty for me, but And the colors are a little bit muted in those greens behind him. But I think it's a nice shot. I understand what the person was doing here. That was a great job moving around behind that light looking into the stadium. I think that the whites on his cheek towards the camera are probably a little overexposed. Along the neck, behind the ear is overexposed. The white is definitely overexposed. The gloves are overexposed. Those are always, like I've said a few times, that's always an issue that pulls the human eye, and you don't want to do that. So try to control that. I think I love that line all the way around the hat. Looks like, I mean, you can see the perfect focus the maker had on this. Well done. Yeah, this is happiness. This is one of my first images. I think was the first or second image on my set. And I was just enthralled by it. I think it was just great capture of this little girl just having fun and laughter and everything else. It's almost composed perfectly. I love the way she's looking off. It's something, I mean, it's just a sincere laugh. It's kind of one of those ones you want to show everybody during these harder times, and they'll probably put a smile on the face. A few things above her head, directly above, you see a white spot. That's an overexposed spot. That's a simple clone stamp over that area to get rid of that spot because it pulls your eye. I think some of the yellows behind her left ear along those, maybe a little bit hot, a little bit too strong, but it's still nice. I think she looks awesome. What a grin on this dog. It's funny because personally we have a beagle or a terrier mix kind of a dog, and she likes to, or my wife started getting her hair cut where it's a mohawk also. So anyway, I love it. I love that. I think the title was something about, Romeo bow tie. Really cool image. Again, the head is more centered in the frame instead of in the rule of thirds. Maybe there was a reason for it. I think the fence lines above, I'm not sure if it works or not. I think it probably could have been a little higher up, but I think this is a cool image. Nicely done. I like the idea, head in the center, but if you look at the cheeks, look at the cheek closest to the camera, not the one opposite, you'll see a little bit of an orange tint in there, and that's probably because of all that beautiful orange leaves, probably leaves on the ground. You could see some of that color reflecting up into the cheek. So there's a color difference between that cheek, and then there's even some blues towards the skin on the opposite side before it goes to overexposed along the sun side. So you can see that, and that it's going to happen. Sometimes you have to use a tool to go in there and select that color, like selected color, and change it to one of the colors that are part of the face. But I like her smile. She looks like she's having fun. Just a fun autumn kind of a shot, I assume. So here was another that I thought the rule of thirds was used really well, kind of centered, but yet the little, what do they call that? It's not a crown, whatever that thing's on the head. The maker probably knows because I'm not a bird technique guy. So anyway, the white around the eye appears to be overexposed, meaning you lost details. Same thing a little bit in the beak. If you look down at the blue, halfway down, you see some, because of contrast, I think you may be losing some detail in there too. Not exactly sure. And then it looked a little soft. I'm not sure if that was my computer or the Google Drive. I mean, Samantha, you'd probably be able to tell me, but it looked a little soft to me. So that these images, when you say my subject is right there in the middle, the human will look for perfect focus. If it can't be even slightly off, the human will notice it. The human eyeball is one of the most accurate sensors there is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for novice colors.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to go through the one. Let's see. Let's talk about Thurston Howell the Third wannabe. Yeah, that was a deserving of merit, or at least deserving of recognition. I think that was well done. I really like that grin. So good job on the maker on that one.
Great.
I think I think it was called Coronavirus lockdown.
Oh yeah, I know which one. This one.
Yep, that's another one. Honorable mention. I think I really like this image. I would ask the maker, put that thing in a black and white, get rid of some of that negative space above her head. I bet you'd be a different image. And then let's see the cape. Excellent image. I think that
Sorry.
that's with Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Sorry, it's so tiny. I can't see it.
I think that could go into a competition. If you get rid of that negative space below them, that pure black, because you could see a vignette was used. Because there's some almost too light brought in to some parts, and then that overly dark parts be around and above. You could see that was a man-made vignette added. You want this to look pure natural. Even if it's dark, it's okay. Just make it look natural dark. Right now, it looks like man-made dark, but I think that could be a competition image. Third place was I think we call it Supreme Court Justice Puffin.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. We already talked about that one. Second place was Happiness, a beautiful little girl with that grin.
Oh, this one. Let's see. Oh no, wait. Sorry.
Right there.
Excellent.
I think that's just it's hard to capture that kind of an emotion that fast. And the last one was Cheese. Or the first place was Cheese.
Cheese. I gotta go through it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the names because I'm terrible. There it is. This one.
Bingo. I think in general that would probably be the if you fix the skin color, make it a little bit warmer than what it is now. But I think the focus was spot on. I think her crooked head, and then the reflection of the crooked head, the reflection of that rose, well done. I think this is a well done portrait. Technically, it's pretty sound. Again, I would do some changes to it. I'd make the rose and the sweater jacket or the sweater to be similar in colors, but well done.
Awesome. All right, I got a chat thing coming in. Hold on a minute. Oh. Somebody's just telling me something. Hold on a minute. Does anybody want to talk about the images that won? So like the honorable mentions were, sorry, I'll just say them again. I got it. I wrote it down. Jennifer Gonzalez and the Cape. Did you want to say anything about yours?
I'm just mad because I added too much of the vignette, and in the original there's more of the detail, and when Nick, when I was taking away some of the vignette, I didn't take away enough. So just a little annoyed with myself.
That's a nice image though.
Yeah, thanks.
And that's another one. That's another one. I think if you do that and you get those details back in, even if you add it in, Jennifer, that black and white image could do some pretty good work.
Thanks.
And then Fred Gillis with the Thurston Howell III wannabe.
Yeah. When you mentioned, Kelly, the 10, 12, or 13 points, depending on which group it was, if I had known that, I could learn more and improve it, and that's where I should go next. Thank you.
Pleasure. So, Samantha, I think you have PPA's 12 elements of image composition, but I can also send you the MPI's 10 elements, which is similar to WPI. So I'll send those to you, and you can pass it on to your people and say, these are the fundamental areas in which images are generally looked at.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And then Justina was the coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah, the idea here was to capture the anxious child under the lockdown. So, and there was a band-aid on her finger.
Oh, there was.
I tried to Photoshop it out, and I messed it up. So I just leave it.
Oh, and that's her probably, right?
Yeah, that's her. She just ran down.
And then I'm not going to skip over the puffin, but Justina also is happiness, number 2, second place.
Yeah, that was that photograph was taken during Halloween parade last October.
Awesome. And then third place was the puffin. That's Huddleston. Let's see, Dan Huddleston. Hey, Dan, are you there? That's okay. And number 1 was, I can't see again. I'm sorry.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Cheesy.
Cheesy.
Yeah, that was a recreation of an old high school portrait we had of a close friend. So we just had some fun with it. That's of my second daughter in the picture. And yeah, I totally agree with the colors. I just I didn't go back to it after, you know, some final edits that I made, and then now when I look at it, I see the teeth and the face skin color can definitely be improved. But yeah, thanks.
Cool. All right. You want to jump to black and white?
Yep.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna hold on. Sorry, I'm having not technical difficulties, but I'm gonna mute myself.
Yep. So looking at there's another chat. I don't know if you saw that other chat come in. So looking at this image, I believe the maker was trying to catch somebody doing a selfie in front of the beautiful flowers in a Jefferson Memorial. I think that was the intent, was just to capture that individual doing that, which is cool. I mean, there's reasons. Hey, look at everybody around these beautiful flowers. Even this, bigger guy, brawny guy, taking photos with flowers. Technically, there's blotches on his face. I'm not sure. I think it's probably sunspots going between the tree. So you can see the shadow, the lights and shadows around the face. You guys see all of that? See on his chin, little blotchy white spots on his cheek, on his neck. Anyway, so that's the first thing I noticed, because I know the face is supposed to be the main part of the subject. But as soon as I finally get there, I have to go through all those overexposed, flowers in the image. So I would have brought my highlights down, and you probably could have saved some of that just by using, the curves or whatever tools you're using, and brought the highlights down just a bit. I think those highlights are just a little bit. What are you doing with that image?
Sorry, every time I hit full screen, but if I touch my computer at all, it goes back, and people are asking to go to full screen. So, sorry.
No problem. No problem.
I'm just gonna leave it like this for now.
No, that's all right. I think that's it. By the way, I would clean your sensor. If you look directly above the phone, about halfway up to the edge, you can see a sensor spot right there. Anyway, next one. Interesting image. I assume this was at some costume gathering thing. That was pretty awesome. I love that gun. I want to use that prop myself. Love her smile. She just looks like she's having fun. So I finally get to the face, but the first thing I see is those overexposed whites along her chest and around her neck. That's a natural thing humans will do. You'll see that. And then it goes up to the face. So I would have probably used something like Vivisa, if you know what that is. I would have lowered the light in that area, even if you used a dodge or a burn, should I say, something, and then raise the light on her face to make her face the most number one thing. Not sure the hat being cut off on the far left edge of the frame. Right part of the frame. But a really fun image. Yeah, there's our model. I like his look. I took one like this, actually. The problem is you can see that cheek on the opposite side from the camera. That cheek is way overblown. You lost details, any pores or anything that was under there are gone. Now, you may have had the details, so you may have to use whether Lightroom or I'm not sure what software the maker uses, but you could lower that light in there and possibly a little bit to see some detail, or it could be completely gone. So here's a rule of thumb. If you have an overexposed spots on an image, make it black and white. If it's still overexposed, make it really contrasty. Make it art. Anyway, next slide, next image. Love the smile. Look at that smile and the fun. This child is just happy as heck. I like the image. With darker skinned subjects, it's always hard when, especially when they're wearing white and they have a lot of white around them. Because if you correctly expose them, usually the whites are going to be overexposed, which it is here. So good job making it a black and white. It's hard to try to keep the details in there. So, and then one of the bad things in portraiture is you never cut off a human being's angles. So in other words, the joints, the elbow, the wrist, the ankle, the knee. So in this case, both ankles are cut off in the image, and that causes some confusion, some chaos with the viewer. But fun image. Next thing. There he is again. So I don't know if there's any overexposed spots. It doesn't look like it because it looks like the face has been softened. In my experience, in what I do, I never soften a man's face. I definitely will soften a female's face in different spots, but I rarely ever soften with intent a man's face. So you can kind of see that happen on the cheeks, on the forehead, and a little bit even along the nose. But well done keeping the hair both in the beard and then the hair on the head not overexposed. That's well done. It's hard to do, so good job on that. So I assume this is granddad and grandson playing chess. Great photojournalistic family shot. Kind of fun. I think the horizon's off. If you look at the horizon from the right side of the frame to the left side, I think you can tell that the horizon is not perfectly straight. But that could be a simple fix, and you don't have to worry about cutting off his head. Guys are not as important about getting their head cut off as females. I know it sounds bad. It almost sounds like a crime is being committed. Anyway, fun job, fun image. Next slide. Next image. You could see some discoloration in the skin. Love her look. I'm a big fan, and Samantha knows this, of subjects not looking directly at my camera, and a lot of times I haven't shut their eyes. A shut eye image causes the viewer to really look intently, like what are they thinking, what's going on. So that's pretty close to it. They're looking down, not at the camera. It causes you to want to think. But if you look at the skin I keep trying to remember on what side you're looking. I'm looking at it on the right side, but it's the left side of the frame. Anyway, the skin has a nice kind of an orange, warmer feel to it. But as you go in under the eye, it turns white there's no color. But along the nose and above the eye, there's a little bit of bluish in there. So that you can see the different tones in there. So this is not a 100% no color image. I think there's even a little bit of pink reddish even on the lower lip. So I would say take your saturation thing all the way down so that goes away, because the human eye will see it and you will notice it. And when you start looking at those details, it takes away from this beautiful girl sitting there having a deep thought. Next image. I thought this was awesome. I know this was called light test, I think, something like that, flash test. So I thought this was a really cool image. I like you can't get much of a natural look into a camera than this subject. I mean, they're just, I assume it's a self-portrait. They're just sitting there staring right into it, bam, and taking the photo and not making a care in the world with anybody around them. And that's hard to do, but that's nicely done. Focus is right. I think the background, even with those stretches or non-stretch material as a backdrop, I don't think it hurts this image. All the details are there all the way through it. Maybe the lower right side or left side may have some pure blacks. But nice job. If you look at the two catch lights in the eyes, that's usually a no-no. You usually want to have one catch light. But what's cool about this one is the two catch lights in her eyes. There's two catch lights in the mouse's eyes. So that's kind of cool. You're kind of like, oh, well, that's pretty awesome. That's a pretty good, I was thinking that the mouse's eye is so well focused, then she's got to be out of focus, but it's not. So they were using a pretty good f-stop in order to capture the entire area in focus, probably an f11 or maybe even higher than that. But that's well done with the f-stop. I think the loss of detail in the background, it's hard to tell. I would have brought a little light against that dark background to separate that dark hair to the background. It's called separation. Sometimes if you have light hair and it's already that's black, the light hair, there's enough separation there. But with dark hair and a black background, it kind of fades into the background and you kind of lose that. She has some beautiful hair. Great image. Love the idea here. Just stay home, and she's looking out the window about the world that's going around her. I think that's pretty awesome. You see that line right in front of her nose, and it goes from the top of the image all the way down. I think that's probably one of those strings that are part of the window flats. You know, you raise it and lower it, and it opens and closes or whatever. You see that line there? Samantha, I'm looking at you to make sure that you see it. So that
I had to unmute, yes.
Yeah, that I always try to take those out of my frame because those slats are really cool, but the slats they get stopped. Yeah, that's it. That's that line. There's even another one. That's not so bad, but that one that goes all the way across, you think that, well, what do? Do they put something above it? Do they add something to the image there? And then you realize, oh, that's probably the line from those slats that.
It looks like it's the pulley, actually. You can see the thing around it, yeah.
Right. But there's another one. You see that the other one goes all the way down. There's no pulley sewn. It's just a line. Yeah. And in other words, that pulls my eye. It pulls the eye from it. I wish those slats were just by itself. But look at the depth of field on that thing. Look at how shallow that depth of field on those slats and how that out of focus area goes from then on in. That's really shallow depth of field. That's probably I would imagine that's a 1.8 or something like that capture. In the composition, I would have did that black part behind her head. I would crop that off, brought her in so she's more on that 1/3 line instead of closer to the center. Fun. I mean, look at this girl jumping in the air and this is the same girl that was on those railroad tracks in the color, I'm pretty sure, because she has that same little stuffed doggy bear or whatever it is. But she's having fun. Look at that hair. She has a beautiful set of hair. I like this image. I think it's kind of fun. It's just kind of fun. Shirts, crushed blacks. Again, it's always an issue trying to get the details in the dress or the little skirt with a black top. It's always hard when you have clients bring in black and white in the same outfit because you got to try it correctly exposed for both, and that's hard to do. But that's fun. Nice image. Yep, the railroad tracks. There's that skirt again in the black top. So here the skirt is way overexposed, and there's the black top, and there's probably some underexposed. But try to get that skin that's halfway, let's say an 18% gray, if you will. Try to get that in between those two extremes, black and white, is hard. So the maker had to decide, well, I need to get the faces semi exposed right, and then you had to deal with some loss of detail in the black and loss of detail in the white. I like her and him, their response, especially him, hands in the pocket, says, how long do I have to do this for? I think it's kind of a fun image. The straight black behind him, you wonder, are they standing in the way of an oncoming train? Is there a tunnel back there? That kind of pulls your eye a little bit. But fun image. This is another one that I saw, and I'm thinking, is it soft also? It appeared soft to me. I wasn't sure, whether this was a shallow depth of field and they only wanted to focus on one spot, but I couldn't find what spot on the horse was really, really well in focus. I think there was some soft spots. It could have been under the eye, maybe somewhere in there. I wasn't sure, but I like the idea. I like the composition's even not too bad. But I think it's a little on the soft side. What an eye on this one. First of all, I love his eyes. I love the eye sockets. I think it's just really a cool image. I wish he was almost perfectly centered, almost perfectly aligned to the angle of the lens. There's one area, if you look at behind that piece of wood, under that piece of wood, that little area that has light coming through it. Yep, that needs to go away, because your eye will look at that. Make it the wood, and then, the actual frame starts with that wood, not with that. You can extend that wood down to the bottom. So you could actually take a piece of that wood above it and then add it to the bottom part so there's not that space. The focus, I think, was pretty spot on. That's pretty awesome. I don't even mind the white backdrop or the background, the overexposed sky. I may have brought in some sky in a black and white, just detail of what the clouds may be back there, just to give a little sky. But I think it's kind of a fun, really fun image. What a look. Dogs are not easy, but look at this. The maker got that eye. Look at that deep eye, the focus on that eye. The blacks still have retained details, and even the whites have details. So that's pretty good control of light. I think this one here works even with a pure black backdrop. I don't see much detail back there. But if you imagine having a really low light, but you can just make out like an old barn or something in the background of this, it really would make the image even greater. But nice shot. Really cool image here. I like her look. Her eyes were, I mean, really well in focus. I think the whites of her eyes were probably enhanced just a little bit too much. The human eye, the white along the eye at the beginning is brighter, and as it goes to the edge of the eye socket, it gets darker. In this case, you could tell because the light amount never changes all the way to that corner, and therefore you know that the maker did something to it. So I would reduce the amount of light going to the edge of the eye. But fun image there. Travel photography, I'm not sure where this was. It kind of reminded me of somewhere in Asia, like Bali or something like that. But fun image. I mean, this guy's lived his awesome life, having fun. Really enjoyed getting his photo taken. Even the exposure wasn't too bad, which could have been an overexposed spot on his face, but that was well maintained. Love the hair like that. I wish that board wasn't above his head. I know it'd been hard to try not to do it, maybe move him around, but I like that image. That's fun travel image. Yep, same area. So now I'm looking at this one. I'm not sure. This was South America, maybe Peru. Either way, love the look on him, but he's out of focus. At least it looked that way when I was going through the critiques. The jacket in front of the subject looks like it's in focus. So there may have been some, the focus was in front of the face. I don't know. It's probably a shallow depth of field and just got hit a little bit off, but fun image. I think this could have been a really cool image, especially if you applied texture, which took that black away. But again, it was soft. I remember looking at this image and says, oh, I so wish both eyes were tack sharp, because I don't think they were. I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you what I saw from the Google Drive. I think this could have been really effectively done as an old master's type portrait, like a Rembrandt or Vermeer kind of a look. She's got that face about her and her hair, and then, you know, this could have been really cool. I would have brought detail or even a texture to the background there. A really cool travel shot. You can't complain about the composition here. Composition is perfect. I would have liked to have seen more of the opposite eye from the camera. It's almost hidden, so I'm searching for it, trying to find it. I think exposure was right on. I think the background, you can tell there's a sky there. There's even a little bit of detail in that sky, little puffies and little gray areas. But I think the image is awesome. I just wish I would have seen the opposite side of the eye. I know they don't pose well, but well done. So I think it's that same girl. Again, I think this one was a little on the soft side to me also. And again, we're doing that black background issue. There's a little bit of detail back there, but not as much as I would like to see. On the hand closest to the light, you can see the overexposed spot on the back of the hand. That's another thing. Back of the hands are usually not good to be shown during portraiture. You want to do the sides or the front, not necessarily the back of the hand. I'm not sure if she was just grinning or sneezing or whatever. Fun image. Yeah, I thought capturing this little girl playing with, I assume that's Bubbles, She's going to be doing the big bubbles. I think it's probably the brother of that other little one with the bubbles. Fun. I mean, she looks like she's so focused on that bubble set. And it's great that you got the nose inside of the edge of that cheek, the opposite cheek. And even her eye socket is within the edge of that cheek, which is always important. Can you, Samantha, can you put your cursor on that and what I'm talking about? Around, you get right in there. So go above, go up, go up, go up from there, right there. No, come down, along her eye, along her face. There you go. Go up, right in there, no, right there. So when you get a subject and they're not looking at you, you don't want them to be looking so far away where it's kind of a side view and kind of not, where the nose crosses that cheek. In this case, it doesn't, as you see. The nose is fully within the frame of the face. And then the eye isn't left out on its own. It's actually skin on the opposite part of the eye, which this one was. So good job on the pose on that. I think the lighting on the face could have been a little bit lighter, but it's hard to do. Well done. I assume that's sunlight around her hair. Good job. So I think this is the love of the dog and the owner, or the, whatever. I think that's a really cool concept. Some details are lost on the cheeks. A little maybe on the forehead. I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of hard to tell. And there's that black again. Dark hair with a black background, so you lose the edge of the human and the beginning of the background. It's just not there. Same thing with the bottom of the shirt. So I think the lights are too bright, but then the darks are too dark. Most likely it was a single light at nighttime, and therefore the camera is unable to capture it all at the same time. So you're just kind of but you got the shot. I think that's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so some honorable mentions. Look at Me.
Sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Wish I had them in alphabetical order, but maybe I'll do. Somebody suggested numbering. I'll do that one day.
Right there, go back.
Look at me. There it is.
Yeah. Like I already told you, I really like her face. I like her looking. Fix those eyes. I think that's a really cool shot. Another honorable mention is, I think it's called Ruby.
Okay. Ruby. Sorry, everybody.
I think that was the dog, wasn't it? Mm-hmm.
Oh, it might have been. Wait. There it is. That was with the mouse.
Oh, yeah. So look at those eyes. I mean, to catch that much focus in focus with an animal not moving, that's a pretty good job. So that was an honorable mention. And then we had, can you stay home, Justina?
Oh, yeah, that's this one.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I wish that line wasn't in there, but either way, that's a really good image. I think you're gonna love that for a long time. I would recrop it. The number one, recrop it so that black's not there, and that eye is about the rule of thirds. So third place is Mono Blue.
Mono Blue. Sorry. Oh, Blue is probably. Oh, that's the name of the dog, right? If you won, just unmute and talk. That's Petey. Darn it.
Mono Blue.
Yeah.
What name is
Blue. It's just called Blue, I think. I can't find it.
I see Mono Cute.
Oh, Cute? This
No,
one?
I had it as Mono Blue.
Um,
And the one you showed me. I wrote it down as Mono Blue.
It's my horse.
Oh, it's the horse.
That's Blue.
Oh, there it is. Blue.
There
okay.
you go.
Okay. We got
He
it.
has
Thank
blue
you.
eyes.
So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
Shannon.
What a fun image. I think that look is like, that's awesome. You can make some memes with that one.
It was a foggy morning.
Yeah. There's one called Petey, Pete.
Oh, yeah, that's the dog.
Yeah,
I think it's Petey.
Petey.
Here he is.
Yeah. That's second place. I think that's an awesome shot. Bring detail in that black, give something for the eye to enjoy. That's an awesome image.
That's Jennifer.
And then the flash test.
Oh yeah.
First place.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think for a portrait, that is one that a lot of magazine editors would probably throw in. I mean, that looks like a lot of images you find in today's modern magazines. Well done on the focus on that facial look.
Yeah. So Justine got 2 of those, and then Shannon, congratulations. And anybody else want to talk about this? I mean, obviously this is him testing his light.
Am I going too slow? Because I can speed it up.
No, you're good, because the next sets have so many more in it. You're going to probably want to skip over the detail part. This was great for the novice side, though. It helps everybody.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else to say about these? Because we can just move to the next one.
There's some chat.
I'm trying to get to come down.
Yeah, the chat is just talking about Jeff being the model and the model of the night. And
No, he was a great model, but the point is those who chose him have to improve their performance to truly represent him well.
Yeah, true.
I think that was your way of saying to make him look good. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it was me. I didn't do a good enough job.
Oh, I think you did wonderfully. All right, I'm going to pull up the next set.
Which one?
About the model.
Yeah, say again, Jeff. I didn't hear you.
Said y'all better stop talking about the model.
All right, so we actually have 42 in this color category. So a lot of it, you probably don't need to give so much detail because they're a little bit more advanced, but feel free to, say whatever you like, because it is very helpful.
Okay. First image, skin is way too orange. So the color cast on the skin, you could call that sun tanned, but even sun tan doesn't have that much orange. I would have probably taken and put a little blue on that. I think the vignette, that's probably a flash in a very dark environment that caused that. I would have probably extended that out so you don't see it. Other than that, I think it's a kind of a fun travel image. So I think this is probably in the Asia or maybe even local an Asian fashion show. I think well done on light. Fashion shows are hard because you can't control the light or the model's perspective in relation to the camera and lighting. So good job on that. You got them all centered. I think the crop is almost perfect on it. Next slide. Next image. Awesome image. I love the feel in this image. I think the look is looking down like that, the feel of the image. I think even the softness, the painterly feel. The opposite eye, this is what I was talking about earlier, so you can see just the bubble, if you will, from the eye. That's usually not a good thing. If you're going to show a side perspective of an individual, then don't have that eye, the actual eye showing. Good job. Next one. Next one. So to me, when I looked at this, it looked like it was he was a little on the soft side along the edge of his face. Love that bokeh. You can tell it was shallow depth of field with all that, bluish tint and background. Again, probably in Peru, taking hikes or whatever. Neat, kind of a travel photo. I really like this one. It takes effort to just get enough so the viewer knows that's a human face. She's looking down, and I think the title is pretty awesome, Vulnerable. I think that was a well-done image. I even like the background. I think the lighting is pretty well done. Good job. Fun. I think the blues are probably oversaturated. I think the contrasts are a little high. But the lighting on him is pretty nice. I think he's just having fun doing a little pose for you. I think it's a fun family kind of shot. So again, travel shot. I think the amount of light on her, especially her cheek, compared to the rest of her in the background is too much. I know it's hard to control them. It's kind of hard to have them turn a little bit more towards into the light and then exposed for that spot. But I think it's a fun image. Look at the details. Even we're able to maintain most of the details in all our clothing. Good job. Nice image. Look at the details. Now I couldn't tell in mine. I could because I couldn't zoom in. If I had I'd zoom in. I would look if every single one of those eyelashes are pristine, sharp focus. Because when you're going to bring in that much detail, be ready for a judge to look for that detail. So if you're going to bring in every one of those little eyelashes in there, make sure they're in focus, because it's easy to say awesome, except they're out of focus because they're going to look for it. I like her to look. It's a stare down. I think the light on the bright side, in this case, it's broad lighted. I think that light is not too much overpowering the shadow side. I think the dodge and burn on the opposite, the shadow side, could have been a little bit brighter under the eye. But nice job. Fun. I think that dog is awesome, having just a blast. Caught it at the right time with that tongue out. You can tell she's enjoying the heck out of it. The green behind her is pulling the eye. I think it's too much green. It competes with her, the dog, and that red gown she's wearing. So I would have darkened that green some. Great shot. Cut off the hands. See the paws cut off. That's always a no-no. I'm not sure how you crop it. Maybe you just do the whole lion and its mane. That's it. No arms, no real body. You just do the entire square of the face. But really cool capture that, you caught the animal in the most relaxed state. Yeah, so here's another one. The brights on her arms and that white top with the dark hair, it's always hard. It's always hard to correct it or get that right. It does seem a little bit hot, a little bit too bright compared to that hair. I mean, that just is a natural contrast. And I think there's a little bit of glow that was added, and it has a little bit of a glow feel to it. I'm not sure if that was intense, but you can also tell if you look at the edges of the arms where the skin is, both sides, you can see the dark area there. That's because the maker, I would imagine, lowered the background some in order to have her stand out more, but you can see the edge of that arm where the lumina or the transparency mask didn't get all the way edge to the skin. You have to do that. Love the eyes. What a perfectly focused image that was. Highlights on the hair is cool, other than I think some of the blacks are crushed. Fun image. I think the greens behind the subjects are too bright. I think they pull a little bit. I think that the light on him and her looks a little bit added too much. It wasn't naturally that way, or I'm not sure what kind of a lighting source with maybe a reflector. I don't know. It looks like it was added in post to try to compensate. But they look definitely happy. It was a good catch. Beautiful, not pushed smile. Love this image. Again, look at all the life on this subject. The nose crossed the cheek, as you see there. This is what I was talking about earlier. You usually don't want to do that. It's not so bad here, but I would have probably had him turn a little bit more, or myself move a little bit more so that nose doesn't cross the cheek. Love the details of that old hat, his cigar. I would have loved to see some smoke coming off the top of that cigar. But that's an awesome image. I would recommend to the maker to make this a black and white image. Those details in that face and that hat and everything about this, to me, screams I'm a black and white or a sepia. Maybe even with a little bit of grain. Good job. Next. Yeah, I'm an owl fan anyway. Love this owl. Love as a matter of fact, if you zoom in on that eye, you can just make out the skyline of where he was shooting. Excellent image. Love that, even that green little piece of, I assume it's a tree or something behind him. And then a little bit of yellow right in front of the beak. I'm not sure what that's from, whether that's from a sun back there somewhere or what, maybe it's a yellow, I don't know. But I was wondering what that was. But I love that, even the backlight. You got hair light. I'm not sure if that was the maker's job or maybe that's the sun. Almost like it was posed. Nice job. Tell me that's not striking. I think there's, the whites are still good on this. I think the whites along the shoulder area of the bird are brighter than the face. I probably would have set that opposite. There's tools you can use to do that. I think the corners of this, because of vignette, are a little bit dark. As a matter of fact, if you go to the lower left, right, I think that almost has that man-made vignette feel to it. But I love the composition, love the details and those. I think this is an awesome image. Great shot. There's a little bit of eye on the opposite side. We've talked about that a few times, which always you wish the dog was either aimed more towards you or completely away, so it's a perfect profile. I think the shadows, some of the shadows are almost pure black. I think that hurts it a little bit, loss of detail. Beautiful image though. I love cats. This is why. I mean, look at that. That'd be hard to paint that blue. That is just a beautiful blue eyes on that cat, long-haired thing. I think the composition's a little bit unbalanced. I think the cat and its body kind of is pushing the image on one side. There's a lot of on this side, and then that carpet on the opposite side is kind of like there's nothing there. There's not much there. So I think the composition's a little bit chaotic, but that's a beautiful, well-captured cat. Yeah, love this dog. I was wondering if the maker did any painting with this, did some painting on the brushes. But either way, I think if they didn't do it, this thing would probably yell for it. I think it'd be an awesome one for it. I think the plywood behind the dog kind of pulls it away. I would have softened that plywood a little bit so those lines from the wood itself are not really as apparent, because it causes your eye to go there and wondering what it is, and then you realize, oh, that's a piece of plywood or wood. But I like it. I like the dog looking over there. Nice job. Another horse with whites that are overexposed. Again, that's not easy to do. It's not hard to do. I mean, it's a challenge as a photographer to try to do that. If you look really hard, you can see some detail behind the animal. Not much, but there is some there. I would have probably brought more in that area there, and then lower the white along the horse. Cool image. Right off the bat, I go right to her face. I look at her, what she's looking at. Love her lips. Those lips are awesome, awesome capture. I think that's awesome. The end of the cigarette, the long cigarette, I wish it was there. Wish it wasn't cut off. I would have even probably grabbed a picture with that end and then cut off that black part and just stuck it in here so it fits inside the image. Because you wonder what's on the end of that. Is it a cigarette? Is it fake? Is it burning right now? Is there any smoke? I mean, okay, now let's look at the face. The opposite side, this is called shallow lit, narrow. The light on that is overexposed. So you've lost detail in that skin and then in the white of the fur, which is too bad. I mean, that's a really cool image. I love that backdrop with her lips and her glove. Just a nice smile. I think it's a nice capture for somebody with a beautiful smile that makes you just want to smile back. I mean, she just looks happy. Look at those cheeks. Again, black hair, black background. Black hair, black background. So you never know where her hair ends and the background starts. So that's just a learn. Under the chin, you can see how dark black that is under the chin. Again, the shadows I think are just too crushed. But it's hard to do that when you only have a single bright light. You can lower your main light and therefore bring in your shadows a little bit more. But that's just an area. It's always a challenge. Next. Yeah, kind of a cool portrait. Love the under that beak and the details in there. I mean, that's a lot of details. You don't usually get to see that. Now, the eye is almost pure black, so there's no detail in there. I think you can almost see, I forgot what effect that's called, where it's not crenellation. It's, anyway, in the background, I can see some lines, both vertical and horizontal in that. I don't think that was added. And in addition to that, probably because of increased structure, there's a little halo effect all the way around the bird, especially in the black areas. You can see it, and then the beak. So a little white halo. You can see that. That happens with sometimes in post-processing when you're editing your image. And you know, sometimes if you really want to do a competition, what you have to do is get your clone stamp, take a little bit of the blue, in this case, the background blue, and with about a 70–80% opacity and 100% flow and about half hardness, you just clone in with a really small brush all the way along that entire line to bring that blue right to the edge of the bird so it doesn't exist. Or there's other ways to take the halo out of an image, but that's hard to do. That's a lot of work. If you really want an image to go to the competition, those are the kind of things you have to do to make it right on. Next. Fun image, I guess it's at home and nothing else to do. Here's another one that I looked at and I was wondering about the focus. I wasn't sure if it was right on in focus or not. The hand is the most brightest point of the image, plus her arm, the white part of that. I guess it's a coat or something. So your eye goes to that first and then comes back to the face, but it jumps back to that point because that's what humans do. I like her look. I like she's having fun, but the lighting is probably a single light. You could have used a reflector. Maybe there was a reflector on the other side because I see some light coming to that elbow, but I think it probably should have been in a little higher position from above coming down. That's a cool image. I mean, she just sit there and you're going to pick up your pie or at a restaurant or something. I think that looks like a fun image. Well done. This would be a great thing. I'm not sure if the business got a chance to grab that image and make it as part of their menu or something, but they should. I mean, that's just great customer service there with a smile, ready to help you. And that's great capture if it's a commercial shot. What a fun image. She's wondering, okay, so I'm trying, as the viewer, trying to figure out, what is she thinking? What is she wondering? All right, how many images are you going to take? Is this the last image? Can I go play now? But I love it. I assume that was a homemade outfit. That is really cool. Love that unicorn thing there. The behind her head, you got that bright green and bright yellow, and then either the street, I think that was a street, back there with those lines. I would have cloned that entire area out of there, especially that street line going across her, just to take her away from that look. Nice makeup. Nice job on the painter effect here. Love the hair. I think the maker did a great job painting with the hair. I think the shirt was really well done, especially the shadows, making sure there were shadows in that painting work. There's a couple of spots that they kind of had a hard time with this image. If you look under the cheek, there is some painted background that went into the cheek, under the cheek, went into the neck. That takes away from the image. Because now you're wondering, if you see where it is, Samantha? Nope, go down. Under the chin, sorry. Right in there, see that? Yeah, right in there. Right there, yep. And then where you were just pointing on the cheek line, on the edge of the cheek, up there, yep. So those are spots where you were moving some background. It got into the image of the individual, and it kind of took away from what appears to be a pretty sharp chin on this young man's face, which he's probably pretty proud of. But other than that, this is well done. I know there's a lot of work in there. I thought this was fun. I can see somebody probably tried to put a little bit of a sunburst up there it looks like there's some sunburst there. Above the very top of the head, it's overexposed. Again, it's always a challenge. You have to really bring in a lot of light, fill light opposite of the sun to try to lower that hair light so you keep the details. But I think that's a cool shot. Nicely done. Another one of just capturing the mid-flight, taking a walk, walking. Somebody brought in some light there. I'm not sure what you used to bring in light there, but that's a good job because the main light, or at least the strongest light, is the natural light coming from back behind him somewhere. So to fill in that spot, I don't know if there was a reflector, you set up a strobe and had him walk into it, and you took the shot, but the timing was good, focus is good. Not sure about the composition. I would have probably put him on the top left rule of third spot, his head, have him walking into the open frame. Excellent image. If you guys know me, this is more along my natural shooting. I like to do a darker image, but the subject just jumps off the page. This is what I would call a salient subject. Now that said, the vignette and the darkness is sometimes a little bit too strong. For instance, if you look right below the arm, the one that's up in the air, the other one, yeah, go down, no, slow down, right there. See that? They're almost like a square black spot. You see that right there? Right there. No, right there. It's square. Yeah. So not sure what that is. And then if you look below even the other arm that's down at the bottom, it's almost pure black. If you look at the legs it's almost black at the bottom there. And then I wonder, this is probably the biggest issue for the image, is why so much negative space above the head? If you would have taken that subject and put it to either the center or to the right rule of third spot looking into the openness of the frame, that would have been awesome, and then brought some detail at the bottom. So I think this has a lot of potential. I would take that vignette off that you can tell you put on, and then bring in the detail, and then position her head to the top right rule of thirds. This is kind of fun. You would almost think that one of those children has the phone up and they're taking a selfie together. That's kind of cool. Now, I'm not a fan of the white vignette around there. I think this image was fun just because of what they're doing. They're looking into this image. I'd even composite an iPhone right below their face, pretend like they were doing a selfie as brother and sister. I think it's kind of fun. But I would take that white vignette off. I think it pulls away from the quality of that image. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love the composition. Love the face. Love the animal. Love the eyes. There's not much not to love. I may have done a color change from the orange. I may have taken that orange and made it a brown like a dog, just so the colors kind of play with each other. But even still, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, your eye gets pulled from the orange because it's something different from the rest of the frame. But I think that dog's face and the details you got, the shadows, that's an excellent image. Good job. Another great image. I think this was nice. The shadows, again, are on the harsh side. If you look at her left, by that shoulder, that area back there is dark. It's the loss of detail. A little bit of use of a reflector or something to fill in a little bit of light on that side would have been really helpful. And then the background. I love that little light just to her right. I think that's cool, but I wish there was a little bit more detail around her head. I love those colors of those flowers, by the way. That's awesome. And love her hand. See the side of her hand? So they did a really good job. They understood hand placement. So I know that girl. Nicely done. Nice feel to it. Again, not sure about why the vignette is so strong under her and on the edge. I think when I started, I probably did a lot of that heavy vignette, forcing the eye to go right to the subject. But when the subject is so well lit, so light compared to the background, you don't need a vignette. Your eye will naturally go to that face because it's so light compared to the rest of the frame. Your eyes will immediately go to that cheek closest to the camera because it's the lightest point on your frame. And then you'll go and start spreading out beyond that. But then you'll realize at the very edge of that, it's pure black. And that kind of loses detail to me. Nice job, though. Love that sword, by the way. Fun. Fun. I mean, this could probably be a good one for maybe a commercial thing. A couple of things, that green plant that's aiming right to the younger one's face is probably distracting. I don't think there's too much overexposed other than to the top right of the frame or left of the frame up there in that spot. You see it, Samantha? That's way overexposed up there. Yep. So you could just take some of that lighter gray or whatever and clone it into that spot. I probably would have opened it. Seems a little tight, compressed. In other words, I would have probably had a little bit of a wider angle perspective, but just a fun image. This is cool. This looks like it was done in that little village outside of Bangkok in Thailand, but either way, really cool image. Love the light they used, the direct head-on. Even the reflections on the rings are almost perfect along the lines of the face. It almost gives you a feel like the neck is under there. Well done for a travel photo. I think some of the details may have been lost in some spots, but it's kind of hard to tell. Nice image, though. What a beautiful smile. Love the cleft chin on this girl. The makeup was done exceptional. I wasn't sure if the focus was dead on. Again, I apologize that I didn't have it, didn't have it on my computer as a full, like a TIFF file or even a high-res JPEG where I could zoom in enough to tell. I think it is, but it was kind of questionable whether it was a little on the soft side. If you look at the arm, her left arm is cut right down the middle. That's always a challenge. You cut the shoulder off in there, and then if you look at the opposite side, the shoulder the elbow is cut off, and then along the forward part of our arm is cut off, and then the top of the head. The top of the head's not so bad as long as you didn't cut off the forehead. Forehead on women cut off without hair, it's always a challenge. Guys, you can do it, women you can. Somebody loves their child. That's awesome. Loving it. Yep. So it's really another real challenge is to try to get the shutter speed and f-stop and ISO in a combination where you can still see your Christmas lights and yet still have enough strobe and monitor for your strobe so your strobe is lighting the subject, not overtaking or undertaking your little light. So good job on light control on this. The background, I think, is too bright, too dark. I think whatever the child is sitting on is too dark. So I think probably a slower shutter speed in this case probably would have been usable. Well, another travel shot. Love the details on it. There's no question what she's looking at. There's those white in the eyes thing, again, that I was talking about earlier, how the whites are usually the brightest, closest to the pupil, and then as it goes to the edge of the eye, they get a little darker, not as white. In this case, they don't do that, so you know that the maker did a little bit of fun and games with the whites. It's hard not to go overboard, but you got to remember where you think it is, it's probably need to be a little less. Again, dark hair, black background, so there's very little separation. I wasn't sure what happened with the hand on this one. So face is great. I think the highlights are okay. I think there's nothing wrong with those. I love her hair. I love that curly hair on her. There is a background on this, so the separation between her and the background is there. But her hand, I don't know what it is. Looks like her hand. Can you see? I'm not sure. It's hard to tell from my perspective. Yeah. The knuckles there are really white, but they're almost like rounded. It's like, I'm not sure what happened. Some additional darkening happened around those fingers. I wasn't sure, but it pulled my eye quite a bit. The way you can fix that is just crop it in more so the hand is less of a part of the image. Because the face, if you didn't have that hand, if you put your hand over the screen right now, whoever the maker was, and cut that hand out, just hide it with your hand, put it over there, and then look at the image, you'll notice it's a wholly different image. She is the number one, a beautiful smile. She's looking at you. You're all focused on it. That hand has nothing to do with it. But with a hand there, your eyes are going to go there. And you're going to start looking at it. You're going to take your time. Yeah, there we go. The baby, open eyes. You can see even the photographer in the reflection of the eyes. So let's look at the skin color. So I'm not sure if it's a jaundice or whatever else. I don't think so. I think it's just a light color. There's a little bit of a light color differences between what's inside the room, and there's probably an open window with some sunlight because I see a little blue in there. But then the light on the child is something like a LED light or something. I'm not sure what was used to bring light onto the subject. Maybe I don't know. It could be the ambient light from the room itself, but there's two different color cast in my opinion in there. The overexposure in the white under it, you almost lost details down there, and then behind the head on the left side, the other side, down. Yeah, right in there, above it. Yeah. Next image. Yeah, this is an awesome image. I like the look of the subject and love the red shoes. I think it was the title, right? Red shoes, yeah. Her arm, it looks a little strange to me. Not the ones holding the shoes, the other side. Looks like it looks like her wrist or maybe her hips. It looks like there was some liquefied done on it. And I'm not exactly sure if pushing this, yeah, so you see where your cursor is, Samantha? Keep right there. So it looks like the liquefy was used up a little higher, right there, and it was pushed in right there, but yet it didn't quite fit with the body. You see that? See the nice, beautiful round side over the chair? A nice angle on her body from her waist around her hips. The opposite side to the chair side. Yeah, that's beautiful. That looks totally natural. The other side doesn't. It looks like the other side, she was pushed in there. So that would be something I would be concerned with. That hair is awesome. The face is awesome. Maybe the cheeks are a little bit warm. Maybe there was a little bit of added warmth to the cheeks, a little bit more than probably there should be. I would have probably brought in a little bit more light down where your cursor is right now, Samantha. Just a little bit, because I'm not sure if I can see detail down there. Love that backdrop, by the way. That's an old Masters looking backdrop. That was probably done, yeah, anyway, that was a nice image. Yeah, grizzlies. First thing I see is I look at the eyes, look at that, look at the mouth, and I go down, I look at the grizzlies, and the grizzlies is off-centered. So it's not perfectly centered, it's not symmetrical from one side to the other. It's not the angle of grizzlies, the horizontal part of grizzlies isn't straight. So it causes me to have, it's not as where it should be. If you look at the Rydell, the helmet maker, the sports gear maker, that's perfect. The horizon is straight, the Rydell is perfect, it's exactly centered, but grizzlies isn't. Those are the kind of things that you really take your time on to get that perfect centered. And as a matter of fact, below the grizzlies, there's a little bit of a logo that started showing up, and I don't know what it is, but it's in there. I've got rid of that. Okay.
Okay, so when you start naming people, if people just want to unmute and talk about each of their pieces, that would be easier.
You want me to start?
Oh yeah, you can start with your honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of them is, I'm in my own writing. I think that's vulnerable. Yeah. Yeah.
Vulnerable.
The woman with the hijab and the glasses.
Oh yeah, I know this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like this image. I think that one thing that could have caused this image even more wow is I think the gray of the background should have been more on the gray side, not so light, but more of a harder gray to match the material, or make the thing black and white. But I like the look. I like this image. I don't know what it is, but I like this image. Another one was Pure Joy.
Okay. Whose was Pure Joy? As I look. Maybe they're not online.
Is that the dog?
Yeah.
Pure Joy, this one.
Okay, yes, that's me. That's my daughter's dog, and yeah, she's a French tin, and she's just so much fun to take pictures of. So yeah. Yeah, I had one of her running that was really good too, but then I thought, well, if it's portraits, I don't think the action would have fit. So this was my second favorite, and yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, if you would have, if the feet, paws were not cut off, and the
Yes.
ball was not cut off, and the ball, I think the color kind of pulls it away. I think this is definitely could have been jumped to one of the top 1 or 2 or 3 images of the set.
Okay. Are you okay with the feet cut off in the back if they're that much out of focus?
Yeah, that's fine. It's out of focus. It's going to the Netherlands, but
Okay.
the first part, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think this one's called egret plumage.
Got that one.
Yeah. Again, this one, I think this is a competition level image. I really do. If they take those blacks and bring in some detail, don't let it be pure black like that, or at least what appears to be harsh blacks, and soften that up a little bit. And then take the brightness of the white to be on the face, not on the shoulders. I think this is a competition image.
Well, thank you. That was taken in Florida.
Cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Where in Florida?
St. Augustine area.
Yeah.
The alligator farm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
This is a young egret that was looking for a mate, and he was having no success, but they keep going until he finds one, or if he finds one. And once he does find one and mates, that green color by the eye disappears.
Oh, interesting.
It takes him out of commission, I guess. Otherwise, it's the plumage that attracts the females.
Wow. That's what happens to me. My green eye turns blue.
All right.
I think I have it written down as autumn face.
Oh, Faye. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already talked to you guys about this one. I think that she just jumps off the page. That headdress, the colors, all those beautiful colors working together on her. I think some tweaking on that makes that a pretty powerful image too. Stare down.
That's mine. I actually went a little dark.
Yeah, I mean, move her head up, Samantha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, she's not even centered. She's a little bit above center, and not along the rule of third line.
Yeah.
And so you know how to change your when you do a crop, you can make it look at the golden rule or the.
Yeah, I think her non-dominant eye is actually on the third, and I was trying to be all like artsy. I have several poses of her. Her full body one is actually really good, but I liked this one better. So.
Yeah. Love with fingers and everything else. All right, stare down.
Stare down. Was that an animal or a person?
I wrote them down some time ago, so.
Okay.
But I think
Sam, move over a couple on the right of your image. It's towards the back.
Oh, towards the right? Oh, this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can totally see that it looks soft. It's not soft on my end. I pulled it up. So yeah, as soon as it popped up, I was like, I don't know what happened there. So that was I purposely cut her arms and the top of her head on this. This is a totally, I don't know what you want to call it, type of pose or image, but those were intentional props.
Yeah.
But I tried to move that one, what is that, her right arm. I didn't cut that one far enough in, but then I would have cut her at the elbow.
Yeah, it's a challenge to try to do that. That pose is you know, yeah. If you could crop it differently.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you don't even use her arms, and I don't know. I'd have to play with it. But okay, those were the honorable mentions.
Okay.
Third place was red shoes.
Red shoes. I know which one that one is.
Okay, that's mine.
Yay.
Red shoes is mine.
That's Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl, awesome. Yeah, she's a fun model. Love what you did. I don't know. Did you add all that?
I did not do any, and that's funny. I didn't do any liquefy there. It must be how she's sitting on the edge of that chair. Oh, did I add in what?
The redness on her cheeks.
I don't believe so. I don't remember. This is months ago.
Yeah. So if you have an image where it could be her arm itself, it's hiding that critical curvature on the opposite hip. You see what I'm point?
Uh-huh.
And so what I will do is I will use Liquify to counter that, so the eye doesn't question it. I never let the viewer question the curve or some part. I will use Liquify then. If it wasn't used here, then I would use Liquify to make her both hips look right. Because as you saw what my point is, right?
Yeah, I do.
Nicely lit. That's awesome lit. That's, you know that. I love that lighting. By the way, her chest looks a little whiter than her face.
It is.
Simple fix, but just let them know that.
Thank you.
All right, number 2 is, this is the owl, AD.
Here it is.
I think it was just called Advanced.
Yeah, it's Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, I love this shot. I think that's just awesome.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Who's this?
Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, nicely
The
done.
model.
Yeah, it's your model.
Hey, Samantha, can you do me a favor? Can you zoom in just on that eye like once at least? I want to see what they're looking at there.
Whoop. Hold on. It's not letting me in this view. I have to go into develop. Hold on.
I just want to see what that skyline looks like.
Oh, it's a little pixelated. Must be a small.
That's all right. That's right. But Jeff, were you taking this near houses?
That was at George Mason during the Nature Vision thing.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. You look at the blue sky getting darker from the edge of the light. I mean, that is just awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
First place, I think it's called The Bride.
This one?
Yep.
Yes. That's so beautiful.
That is. It's just, I love the feel. There's a few things that could make this go from definitely a merit image, above average, in other words, merit in competition, to even exceptional or outstanding, is the chin to the shoulder. I mean, you'd have to shoot it again, but the chin and shoulder are touching. I probably wouldn't do that. And then the opposite eye is kind of showing sort of and sort of not. I would have either shown the eye and the nose doesn't cross the cheek, or hide that eye. You can let the eyelash go in there. You can even let the eyebrow in there, but having that piece of eye in there is always an issue. But that's a beautiful, well done, well executed. Love the composition. Love that.
Julie, are you online?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
I'll put it back on.
Too many people talking. Okay. Do you have anything to say, Julie, or no?
No, this is my first time in the competition.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Good on you, Julie.
All right, so I'm going to bring up the black and whites, and we'll be on a little bit longer. We usually are on to like 9, but we have all night because we're on Zoom.
Sorry, I try to.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're doing good, Kelly. We're not time constrained, about to be kicked out of our venue.
Right.
We're really enjoying this, Kelly. So take your time and enjoy.
Okay.
All right.
So these are those kind of views when you see a subject like this, you just want to sit and you think about her and what she's gone through, and you can tell she's a religious woman with a cross on her chest. The whole thing just makes you feel relaxed, nautical feel. You're at some marina because it looks like a boat behind her. I imagine this is a travel shot too. Exposure was well on her face. The nose did not, or at least it doesn't look like it crossed the cheek. So that's good. It's just on that edge though. I don't even mind the darks because even on this computer, it looks like some details still exist. It's on the edge though. It's on the verge of being pure black, but I think you could probably pull on any other detail. There was one overexposed spot down on her shirt. As you can see that spot, at least from my view. Yep. That pulls the eye. So I would either clone in an area where it's similar to where it should be, so there's detail showing, or I don't know, I'm not sure if you can lower that a little bit, but I like that. I grinned and laughed when I saw this one. This is pretty good. Definitely, you know, a kid. I don't know if he's happy getting this done or not, but that's what makes it so fun. Is this is a real life, you know, child getting his hair cut, something he'll remember for a long time. Exposure wise, the cheek on the child probably was a little bit too hot, maybe a little bit. The hand of the child is definitely too hot. The background of the barber probably was a little strong, and the white t-shirt in the mirror was probably a little strong. But I like the position of the child and the barber's heads in relation to his arm, the barber's arm. It gives you that triangle, which is always good in composition and in portraits. So it keeps your eye between the barber and the child, the barber and the child. That's always a good thing. Nice shot. Again, I think it's a little on the soft side, and you'd have to confirm that. Again, from your computer, whoever the maker was, to online, to shown again, now on you know, Lightroom, and then through Zoom. So imagine all those things playing a part of it. So it may not be. But either way, I like the composition. The child with the helmet, well centered in the frame, and that's you can't get much more of a pure happiness smile than that. Really cool shot. I really wish the lower part was showing. It wasn't cut off. In other words, the eyes were more 3/4 high into the frame, and then it was elongated down at the bottom, so you caught that. In other words, a portrait orientation, not just square. But even still, it's still a really cool image. I'm glad the maker decided to go black on white on that, because I think that's where this really falls well. Owls. Love owls, by the way. Great shot. A couple of things bothered me on this, and I'm not sure, I can't zoom in. But the opposite, in the shadow side of the head, eye has a different catchlight look than the main eye. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if there was something under the owl, he was standing on something, or the person taking a shot, there was some white piece of board that he was shooting. I don't know. But the two different catchlights in the eye kind of bothered me. I know it's a little detail, but when you're talking about this kind of thing, it is. Now look at the overexposed spots on the bright side under the eye. You can see those in the hair. So that's always an issue that always kills you. That could have been because you went trying to get too much structure, add too much contrast. Therefore, the whites get too bright, the darks get a little darker. I don't know. I love the focus. You can't get much better than focus. Look at those little pieces of hair around the head. I love the look of the bird. Really, really, I like this shot. You know, from an intimate portraiture perspective, that's what I do a lot. I like her looking away. I like the hair in her face, the appearance like she's in a more of a vulnerable, no top on look. Not sure what the flag does for the image. In my opinion, if this was going to a competition, the overexposure or hot spots along her face and on her arm would probably be hurting. But the flag, I would imagine that people would wonder, what's that for? Not sure. The lines of the flag are not horizontal. What the flag is for this, it'd be a confusing part. So maybe a title, I got the Stars and Stripes, but I'm not sure if that title gives you that linkage between the flag and a woman that are what looks like topless. So that would be a challenge in a competition. So work that out if I were you, and then I would look at that exposure. Love this cat. I think this cat is awesome. what a thing. No, interesting, the whiskers on this cat on his left side or her left side are all crunched up and crinkled up or something. That's usually him. So I'm not sure what happened there, but if I were you, I would probably, if I was going to submit this in the competition, I would get those curly hairs out. I wouldn't let those in. Unless you want to have some, let's say he's munching on some mouse or some food. But usually those are beautiful, long, straight pieces of hair off those cheeks so they can detect, space. Love those eyes. Look at the sharpness in that eye. Next. I've always liked images like this. As a matter of fact, if you look at my portfolio, you'll see images similar to this. Subject looking down in an intimate way. Just enough detail in the lingerie to cause it to be more of an intimate shot. Love the hair. The problem again with this one was it looked soft. I could not see if this was in detail or it was in focus enough. It didn't look like it to me, especially in the eyes. But I don't know. The lingerie looks like it's in focus. So maybe this part down here is in focus, but I think farther up as you get higher up, I don't know if it's perfectly in focus. The area of confusion may be confusion. There's that dog with that tongue. That's awesome. Now, if you look at the eyes of the dog on both sides, it's almost like the dog does or does not have eyes. I'm not sure. A little bit of wonder there. So there's ways you can fix that. You can take one without the reflection or reduce the amount of catch light to where it looks a little bit more natural than the entire eye looks like it is reflected. The background behind the dog. Now in this case, because the dog is dark, it has dark hair, it really didn't hurt. Normally I would say the background's a little bit bright, but it's not in this case. I think it's well done. The exposure's really good. I don't know if the blacks under the dog's belly is pure black and they lost detail. I would check that out. But I like the composition. I like the square look of this. Well done. Yeah. I remember this image going through this saying, wow, that looks like a fun day. Dad or mom taking the shot, child, everything exposed well. The child's face is the brightest point on the image, at least it appears to me. The child's face does look like a little less saturated, meaning more of the black and white feel than the rest of the image. So I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. It helps to separate the child, but I don't know. I think this image is in a pure black and white sense, maybe better than using the vignette that was used here. You can see the vignette corners and the darkening of the kind of colorizing done on it. I don't know. I think I'd probably go pure black and white. I would try that. Yeah. So tell me this wasn't having fun. I like the looks of this. I'm not sure it would do well in a competition for a few reasons. The exposure to the child's eyes are kind of dark. You don't really see things. The line between the shadow part of the river or creek or whatever it is, and then the light part of the creek, and then the line of the trees going through the child's head. Those are always like no-nos, lines going through heads and that thing. Not that everything's an always, but I think that would be. But from a perspective of somebody taking out a camera, having a dark background with lighting on the subject's face in a fun time, those are good family shots. Yeah, great image. Love the feel of this image. I think the details on the face. I think that maybe there's some overexposed. You can see that line along the nose. It's a little overexposed. You can see that. It looks like somebody painted it with a white brush. I think there's some overexposed spots along that bright eye, under it as you go around it, the socket, above the eye, near the hat. I think there's some overexposed spots in there. That will hurt you in a competition. There's ways to get around that. If you apply a texture across the entire image, the texture itself goes into those white spots and makes it appears like that there's detail in there, just to let you know. I would probably reduce the overall light of that image by about a third, or yeah, maybe, and then make it a little, so the rest of it's darker, add a texture, and you may find yourself, you have a pretty powerful competition image there. So here's that hand cut off thing. I like her look. I like that, you know, there's light on her compared to a darker background. But that hand cut off is always a killer. The shirt is a little overexposed, so that hurts. And then the head piece is overexposed above the top of the head too. Similar with the one I just explained. And I think it was probably taken in the similar area. Really hard light above the subject, meaning it's midday or something like that. But it's very bright. You can see the overexposed spot above. You can see what they call raccoon eye, kind of a thing under the eye. It's really dark, both sides. You can see the overexposed behind her in that bucket that's against the wall or whatever that is. The overexposed along that, I'm not sure what that is. It's ceramic tile along the opening of that restaurant or whatever that is. So those are things that hurt images. But I think this, for a travel image of her just hanging out, you know, kind of nice. This one here was really, I really enjoyed this image. I mean, for various reasons. First of all, I like to look this subject looking above the camera, not at the camera. I think that gives it another sense. It gives them a much more of a powerful stature in the image. Taken from below, looking up, but not so much where it looks into the nose. I think that's a great perspective in this kind of a shot. I think the details and all the tatting on the body is pretty immense. It's pretty wow. And then I love the selection of the backdrop, whether it was a natural wall or whatever. I think that's awesome. I think the light around the backdrop, the hot spot, is a little lower than I think I would prefer. I think I'd probably raise that light to be more behind the face, above the cap. But either way, I think this works really well. Well done image. I love the detail in this one. Okay. Yeah, catching smoke out of the lips. That's fun. The way the subject is dressed. I don't know if this is in France or is it still down in South America, but kind of a fun look, fun play. And even with glasses, there's no reflection in the glasses from a light source, which is well done. A lot of photographers have a hard time with that. The shadows under the beret is a little bit black. I think loss of detail there. Around the scarf behind the neck is probably pure black. Loss of detail in there. So those are always issues. I can't stress that enough. Fun image. I thought this was pretty cool too. Love the detail in that hat. I think that really makes the image. That's pretty awesome. The face, I think the eyes are a little dark, but nice for the person to raise the chin just a little bit, or the hat just a little bit to get a little light in there. But hey, you don't have control of everything. You can see the subject, or the maker put a little bit of vignette down here. You can see where her cursor is. That area is really dark. You can see the tree above there on the same side is dark. You can see the tree on the other side right off the brim. That area is dark. So those are areas that can bother somebody evaluating image. Never try to lose too much of the detail in those shadows. Fun image though. Yeah, so I think this was called what, Sugar Skulls? Yeah. Pretty fun image. Look at this. I'm not sure who did the makeup. I have an idea. There's only a few people that does makeup that well in the area. But either way, I think that's awesome. I love the lighting, just focused on them. This is a really cool, almost photojournalistic feel to it that I think could probably be a good stock image. I mean, this could be in a stock catalog, and magazines run this every time they want to talk about goth or makeup or I don't know, whatever. Just a fun overall shoot. I like it. I love the focus. Yeah, this is a really cool image too. I wish, because the detail on the eye and the eyebrow above that eye is so much there, I wish they wouldn't have lost it along the beard. The beard should retain just the same much detail as that eyebrow does. And that eyebrow is awesome. I think that's the best part of this whole image, is that eyebrow, that eye, and that nose and that cheek area. That's just awesome. But down there under that beard on the neck, The details lost. It looks like it was softened somehow, or I'm not sure what was done. I just wish it wasn't done that way. You know, really cool image there that I would go back and maybe start again and not let that happen. And then even along the edge of the hat, you can see some things that were brought into the hat from the face. You see that, Samantha? Look at it, yeah, up there, yeah. Okay. Wow, what an awesome shot. That look at the details. The light is on the face, not on the body like that other one was. The strands coming down, that nice, beautiful curve. Even that background rocks. I love the reflection of the water against the ground, and you can see, you know, that black, that curvy part. Even above the head, the details and the bokeh. There's not much to say bad about that image. That kicks butt to me. So I'm not sure if the horse is owned by this young girl, but you can definitely see there's a relationship there, which is awesome. So the maker caught that relationship. Love that kicker light from the sun along the edge of that cheek, along the lip, along the edge of the nose. Maybe a little strong, but I think it's well done. I think the majority of the interest in this frame is at the bottom, so therefore the top is kind of lacking. So therefore I think there's some empty space up at the top that's probably, you know, kind of wasted space. I think cutting off the horse's other eye and leaving the one in there, if you're going to do that, I'd probably push the horse even farther to the edge in the frame. But nice image. Definitely caught an emotion there. Yeah, I like this one too. Again, looking down, the subject, I would imagine if I'm looking at this, the subject's doing something with their hand. They're either building something or working on something or something. That didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. The whites of the shirt is overexposed on some spots, and the forehead and probably a little bit on that upper mustache is probably overexposed. But the rest of it has a really cool feel to it. I would have brought detail under the chin for that hair area to bring in that, probably the side of his face or his head. There's some dark areas there that may have lost detail. But I like the looking down. Even the composition's not bad. That eye is close to being, well, maybe it could be pushed to the left a little bit. But nice image. So whoever the maker is, when we finish this, I'd like to know what the subject was doing. I'm just interested. Next. So Christmas time, got it. Child is like, eek, I don't like my present, or oh no, Santa Claus is going to be here a few hours. So it makes me wonder what the child is thinking with the Christmas component. So if you look at it says Eddie Christmas was the title. So titles are always big in most compositions, or competitions. So if you bring a title that links the Christmas to the child's facial reaction, it always helps an image. So I was trying to figure out what that different was. There's no really overexposed spots on this other than that one ball, and I don't even think that's really an issue. So that's really well done. Some of the blacks may have been underexposed. Next. Yeah, so here's another one that I think the structure and the contrast is too high, and therefore lost a little bit. If you look at the white above the eye, there's a loss of detail. The opposite, where the main light is coming in, I think there's some overexposed spots, but I think overall the contrast is almost too much. I would have lowered the contrast and then brought up structure. I think that would have probably done it. There is some noise in the image. On the bokeh part, as you go down into the sea or into the water area, there's some noise in there. You can use some anti-noise or apply a texture across the whole thing. So it's intentional. Another nice child smile. I think she definitely looks happy. She's even willing to pose for you. I think that's awesome. In this format, you're using a landscape format with a head that eats up the majority of the width of the frame. or height of the frame. Usually that's an indication that a portrait orientation may be more beneficial. So I don't know what she was wearing. She has beautiful hair. Maybe catching all that hair and more of a portrait orientation would be better. Yeah. So I'm not even going to try to understand what she's saying. I think she wants to slap whoever was with the camera with that stick. But the overexposed spots along the legs or along where the light is coming in, hitting her. I think the shadow from hair under her cheek is distracting. So that's an area. But I noticed on this one image that very little blacks are underexposed. So that, you know, and hence probably that's why some of the whites are overexposed. But that's a really good job of doing that in the shadow area. Next slide. Such a beautiful girl, such beautiful hair on her. Some of the hair that's jumping all over the place could have been removed. In competitions, you don't want all that hair. One of the rule of thumb is any hair that follows the face, curves with the face, goes along the face is okay. Anytime you have hair going perpendicular to an angle of the face like this, you want to take those out. So if you look at this, you've got hairs that are kind of going into the face and away from the face, perpendicular to any curves of her face. Those are you take out. Now the other question is her eyes in focus? Again, I couldn't tell. Samantha, you may be able to tell from yours. I could not tell on mine. It looked a little soft when I first saw it.
Yeah, her hair's a little more in focus than her eyes.
Yeah, and then, so the final thing is the overexposure of the highlight on her hair on that one side. Always will be a killer in an image competition, is those overexposed spots. Fun family shot again. Cut off fingers, cut off his little arm there. I think the highlights on his cheeks are a little bit present. But that look of I would assume that's grandma or grandpa is just awesome. I think that's grandpa. But look at that look on there. That's magic. Next. So this could have been in the back of a bicycle saying, you know, from Wizard of Oz. I think that dog was just like the Wizard of Oz dog. I think the dog sitting there with a line coming from his head, that background, the line above his head, the door with the light coming there, the carpet that has a little bit of lift up behind near his butt area, those are distracting little pieces. I think if one or two are gone, maybe the other ones are okay, but they're a little distracting. I think the blacks on the center of his head may be too dark, but it's hard for me to tell, so I don't know. That would be an area. So to fix it, I would straighten out that carpet. You can do that with liquify. You can do that with cologne stamp. There's different ways you can do that. I would have taken that bright area beside the door. I would have gotten rid of that, completely gotten rid of that. Yep, that pulls the eye. With that, I think that's a pretty good image. I like the look of that. So here you got that face thing again. You got a little overexposure spots. You can see that on the forehead on that white thing that she's wearing. You can see it on her shirt. You can see it along the edge of the couch a little bit, and then you can see it on her cheeks by her lips and whatever. But but really is the nose crosses that cheek and into the eye. You can see just the top of an eyelash above her nose. You see that? So those are the things that, that's just posing. That's where the photographer needs to move in a position where those things aren't as much. I'm not sure what she was doing. Was she just looking out the window, enjoying the sunlight or something? That's what it looks like. Pretty awesome. Again, a good application of a texture would be probably done really well here. And Jessie, I know this girl. So the shadows are too dark. The lighting on her face is almost perfect. I think the chest may be a little bit more light than her face, so that may be confusing or competing, but I think her face is really well lit. But the darks of her dark jacket or down below by her leg, that may be a little bit too black. The background and the details in the background may be competing with her. I may have darkened that up and softened it with like a Gaussian blur effect for the background. But pretty detailed look and very intense stare. So here we go with the nose across the cheek and the eye on the other side. Well, the eye is not too bad. You can see skin on the opposite side of the eye, but that nose goes across that cheek. So that's that competition, composition or orientation thing. Love the details in her outfit, especially that big nung necklace and everything, and her ears and that hat. But you have a hat that fades into the blackness. You have a back that fades into the blackness. So we got that dark shadow back again. So as a photographer, you have to figure out how to light the subject to where it's not so overpowering and so much light that it makes anything that's semi-dark turn black. That's a challenge. Yeah, love the hands on this person. Look at those hands. I mean, that's just life, you know, shown in skin and wrinkles and everything else. That's awesome. Love the work. Love the splatters on that thing he's wearing, the apron. The eyes looking up at you while he's doing the work, both sides. I wish there was white on both sides of the eye. There's one eye that has black on one and doesn't have the white in there. I would even draw it in there if I had to. Love that highlight along his forehead, along the nose, or on the edges of the nose and the cheeks. I mean, that's pretty nice. I like this image. It gives a nice feel to it. Great fashion shot. I even think that the soft features on her face, but yet the hardness of her eyelashes, her eyebrows, the white and black along above her eye, the lips, that's well done. I really like this. This really works for me. Love the S curve appeared to it. The head on one side looking this, crosses over, body facing this way, and then back to the hip, and then the legs going the opposite way. All that angles on her arms, you know, that all works. Yeah, great. I like these kind of maternities. Matter of fact, I do these. If you've seen my maternity shots, Colleen and I actually make these a lot. We like them. A few things. First of all, I like the light on her face. I'm not sure the shadow of her nose crossing into her mouth. Usually the shadow of the nose, she'll go across the face, almost making that triangle under the opposite eye, i.e. the Rembrandt lighting. This is kind of going a little bit above down. So there may be it's not even butterfly, it's kind of just a broad flat, shadow going down from the nose, but I like the lighting on it. The belly is definitely lit more, so that's an important subject of your image. The material crossing over her breast is probably a little bit overexposed, causing the eye to go there instead of the belly or the face. That's a challenge, so you have to use more of a focused light modifier, one towards the face and the belly, and not let light hit that material if it's a light material, or use a darker material. I like the material. I love it looks like the maker used the mixer brush to soften it out and take some of it out. There's still a couple wrinkles in the material right in the center. If you could show that, Samantha. Right, no, down here, keep going, across. Yep, follow that line right there. Follow that line. Right there, yep. So those are the kind of things you could take off. That's definitely a wrinkle or a crease. The edge of the material outside the bounds of the backdrop is almost perfectly straight. You can see that, Samantha? Yep. So you rarely want anything straight, especially in maternity. Nothing should be straight. You can use straight for the backdrop. That's fine, straight for the backdrop, but nothing on her, none of that material should be straight. So I would have used Liquify, pulling that material on that edge to give it a little bit of like a wavy appearance to it. I don't even mind the backdrop ending and not completely filling the background. It's kind of cool. It's more of a, hey, I'm in the studio. I'm definitely shooting the studio. I'm not trying to fake it. I'm in the studio. So that's pretty cool. Behind her feet, behind her, is that spots on the floor? Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would notice that. They'd notice those little things. So anyway, next image. I thought this was awesome. Love this image, love the feel of it. If you've everybody heard of Tim Walden, his relationship portraits, his black and whites, he's a world famous photographer. Matter of fact, he's going to be talking in one of our seminars, Samantha. Anyway, love it. It's a relationship portrait. See that shadow off that nose on that girl, taller? See that shadow going down into that? That's beautiful. Love that lighting. That is awesome lighting. Perfect placement of light. You have the brightest point on her on that side, but yet the other girl doesn't have too much shadow. Matter of fact, she's in front of it, so the shadows don't affect each other. Well done job positioning the two so the same amount of light hits them both, so your eye doesn't go from one to the other more so than the other because of the lighting. I think the backdrop is lit well nice. The separation between the subject and the background. I would have probably brought a little bit more light above the heads, not just so much on the side. So go above the head, Samantha, right in there. I would have probably a little bit more light above those two heads. Down at the bottom, the fingers of the girl that's standing. Is that no? The other one, down. Are those fingers, or is that part of the outfit? Whatever it is, I would get rid of it.
Jeans. It's the jeans.
Yeah, I would clone out that and put that nice material from something else in there, because that pulls your eye. You're wondering, is that her fingers or something? Anyway, well done. Here's again a travel shot. I assume it's the same maker as the other ones. The whites of the eyes go all the way to the edge again. It's all white. There's not a whole lot of difference in lighting or light going down. So maybe a little bit over on that because it doesn't quite fit the rest of them. A little overexposed in the beard under the lower lip. I wish the entire rest of that pipe was showing. That's a cool hat, by the way. Centered. I usually don't use portraits in center. And then the rocks behind him in one half, the other side is overexposed. It pulls the eye a little bit. Really cool look though. And so this is a really cool image too. Love her look, love her. I mean, that is a side view that just works perfectly. You don't see the other eye. You don't mind the nose going across because there's no cheek. I mean, that's just a profile shot as it should be. And what's other nice, and it's hard to tell, but I don't think there's a shadow behind her. I'm not a huge fan of having a shadow of a subject on the background. Now, that said, whoever made this image, if you look, you bring your cursor, let me see, the top of her hat, not the top of the edge, right there. So go down about 220 from there. Nope, that's 180. Right there. No, go back. No, where'd you go?
Which way? Left or right?
Okay, go from the hat and go to about 220 down. No, that's 180.
I don't know what 220 means.
All right, so go from the hat, go to the top of that, right there, and go towards the edge of the frame, but go down. Don't go so fast, sweetie. Don't go so fast. Go back to the hat.
Okay.
Go down and left.
Like at 8:30?
A little bit down. Right there now. Go back.
Uh-huh.
Right there.
Oh, right there.
See that dark spot?
Yeah.
Go down, there you see another one exactly like it.
Yep.
And then you'll go down farther, you see another one. You know what that is? That's clone stamp repeating itself. And it will easily be noted by a competition. So you see spot, spot, spot. Somebody took some parts of the background and cloned it in other parts of the background. You can see that from, matter of fact, her breast. If you look at her breast farther away from the lens, you can see a dark area between her lingerie and the background. Go back to that breast. See the edge? You can't hardly tell where the edge is because the background was really dark there initially. But the maker tried to bring in a lighter background to separate the two, but didn't get it as detailed on the edge. You can see those things. And so people will notice that when they take it. So I guarantee you the maker probably said, I wish I would have brought a little bit more light to my backdrop to separate my subject. Therefore, I wouldn't have had to do that. That's just a lesson learned. But I love that profile photo. Now, what I want you to do is, if you could go into develop. I just want to show that. It's the last image I wanted to just show that. Grab your crop I want to show this because I can see the maker's name on here, but it wouldn't matter. See the crop, the square? Yep. Now bring that up and only crop from the below that skull patch on the arm, just below it. Yep. There you go. And then bring it in to just in front of the hat. There you go. Right in front of the hat. No. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Go ahead and enter that. Just look at it. That's close enough. Hit enter. There. If you were to fix the lower part of the crop, but look at that image. To me, now that's a powerful image. You get rid of the back.
Original image.
I'm sorry?
That was my original image.
Yeah, that's
it's my fault. It's my fault that he made it portrait. He had it square, and I told him not to.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
And
that happens.
I actually removed a whole entire person off to the left. So I'll let you speak. But yeah, it was challenging.
Anyway, so that I really like that. I really like that look. I would have probably. I'm not sure what I've done with that hand with holding that sword, but I love that profile of her. I just look at those cheeks, that highlight on the cheek, and the shadow under the bone, that structure on the lower jaw. That's just awesome. Okay. All right, so here let's go through this, and let me pick the
honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions. Let's start with Beauty in Sequins.
Who's ever that was, you can speak up on that one. Beauty and Sequins.
It's mine. It's Cheryl.
Oh, okay. I can't remember where yours were. Sorry.
Towards the end. It was the one that all white.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was close. That really was. That's a pretty awesome image. The only thing that bothered me, I wish there was more detail in her hair. If there was, and you see, go Samantha, take your cursor, go right below that elbow. Yep, right below. See that little indentation right there on her side?
Yeah.
See how it comes out right there? I would have pushed that in.
Yeah. Okay. It's the seam from the dress, I suppose.
Probably. You see her dress, and it could be a rib. It could be her rib cage just pushing out right there. I don't care. I'm going to push the rib cage in and make that beautiful, nice curve on it. That's what I do.
Okay.
Okay. I think this is called Something Glory. Maternal Glory. Is that the?
Okay, that one's mine too.
Yeah. So I already talked to you about those.
Right.
It could be a competition image. Here's another little detail. You see the edge of the backdrop?
Yeah.
Is it along the horizon?
Oh, is that an angle?
Correct. You will notice that. A person will notice that in the image. You can leave it in there, but I would make it straight. And you can do that through liquify. You can do it by stretching. There's ways you can do that, but make sure it goes along the horizon of the frame itself.
All right.
And then fix those other things. Yeah.
Okay.
Duality of Avatar. Is that right?
Avatar.
AUTR.
That's mine.
Oh,
Avatar.
Oh yeah, him. That's his name, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell you right now, I think that could be a lone level image if you fix that beard, get rid of that softness that doesn't make sense. The details in that eye, those life marks along the eye, the hair above that, the nose, the chin. I mean, I tell you, or the cheek. I'm sorry, the mustache. I think if you fix those things, that could be a pretty powerful competition image. I'd like to see you fix that and get it to MPI or WPPI or even PPA if you remember. That is a pretty awesome image.
Thank you.
Street.
Just keep, yeah. Who is Street? Anybody? We did lose a few people. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's yours also, Julie.
Oh, yeah.
That one's beautiful.
Yeah. And I gave you a couple hints that I would do. Again, that's just a powerful portrait with a couple of modifications. Again, that could be a competitive image in various competitions. Barn owl.
That was over here.
Yeah, that's a great.
Robert Miller. I don't know if he's still on.
But I mean, look at the way that bird is staring right at the photographer. I mean, there's a connection there. I think that's part of the whole impact of portraiture. Great job, Ella.
Anybody? No.
I assume we're not talking about Fitzgerald.
No.
I wrote down what I thought was
Miller's.
Oh, he's already logged off. I just tried to find him online, so just keep going. I'll find it. Oh, there it is. Oh, it was the cat.
Yeah. There it is, Ella. So yeah, that's the only name I used. I didn't use the Robert.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I love that cat. I think if he fixes those whiskers, and then does a dark and light and center kind of thing, keeping the light on the face but darkening the background some, so the face jumps off the page more. That's another, I think, could be a pretty powerful portrait image in competition.
Yeah.
Sugar skulls. I already talked about those. I think those are awesome. I think that, to be honest with you, that could be a stock image for magazines and newspapers to use for some heading of some subject in an article. But I think it's a really cool image. All right, so let's go through the third place. Duality of love.
That's mine, Samantha.
Yeah. If you show that to Tim Walden, I think he'd be like, "Wow, that's pretty similar to what the images that I work on." Although there's some work to be done on it, but I really like that image.
Thanks.
Second place, I think they call this OBH. Remember that one? We were talking about that. It was OBH or something like that.
Looking.
You talking about GBH?
Yeah, that's it.
That's my bird.
Oh, I'm looking. There it is.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Kelly.
And seriously, there's a couple of spots that I would be happy to go in detail, and talk about. But that I think with a couple of tweaks, I don't know why that's not in competitions. I'm pretty sure that would get a merit in any illustrative category image competition the way it is. But I think with some tweaking and some done, at least my opinion, and then get a couple other people's opinion, that could earn 2 merits at a lone level image.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, nicely done. The number 1 is The Man.
Awesome.
Brother, bring it, brother. Bring it, brother.
I see it. There it is. There he is.
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's
so
the other
Kelly,
picture.
that was taken at a tattoo convention in Philadelphia, and that was taken with a Bronica ETRS with Tri-X film 120 format scan.
Yeah, you can feel the film feel of this with the grain and everything else. With a couple of tweaking, here's another one that I think could win some competitions. I think the sides are a little bit too constraining on his body. I would open up the sides a little bit. I would bring a little bit more light behind his ball cap. But this is an awesome image. Well done, dude.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I know this is a long night.
We need a best in show.
Oh, yeah. Best in show. I haven't been marking them. Here, let me mark them really fast. I can do it. Goodness. I have a lot of screens up, so it's hard for me to see everything. So just give me a minute. Oh, what was number 1 on the color?
I
The third, number 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
third,
great,
the
great.
third image.
There we go. Awesome. Bam. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Yeah, see the thumbnails thing on the bottom right, Sam,
Yeah.
right above, all the way, no,
Oh.
all the way to the right.
Yeah,
There you
thank
go.
you, thank you.
You're welcome.
How's that?
Yeah.
Good?
I think it's gonna be green.
Good job, you guys.
So you get to pick the best of all 4 of these.
The man.
The man.
Yep.
All right, brother. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you, Chef, putting me up for me. Thank you, Kelly. That's very
Good
kind of
job.
you.
I wasn't doing it for kindness. I'm doing it because that really is the most powerful portrait of all. Although those other ones, they're awesome. I mean, great ones. Anyway, it was really an honor, Samantha. I hope nobody got offended. I hope people felt like there were some positive inputs into how to make them better, at least from my perspective. I think you got a great group. I'm really happy to see this. Be happy in a few months from now. If you want me to come back and see another one, let me know.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, any questions?
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you,
Comment.
Kelly.
The steampunk
It's
guide
lovely to
that
see
I showed
everyone.
earlier was from the PhotoWorks Kelby's conference, and it was a lot of fun. You can get great experience going to those.
How was that, Brian?
Oh, that was the first one.
Yeah, the first one you're sitting there with, and
Yeah.
you know they provide great models, great lighting, and you can. And what I learned from here is you don't take their lighting, you learn where to move to get the right lighting.
Yeah, if it's set up for you, yeah.
It was a great experience, and this lesson taught me how to improve that.
Awesome. All right.
Very cool. Thanks again, Kelly.
My pleasure. You guys all be safe. Continue down your road of powerful portraiture, and I look forward to seeing growth.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate the work, Kelly.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kelly.
guys. Lovely to
Thank
see
you.
everyone.
Everybody stay safe.
You too.
Ciao, kids.
Bye-bye.